Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm, a podcast for movie fans just like you. Disclaimer at the top of the show, we're not experts, but we do love watching movies. With me each and every episode is my close friend and artist, Danny Haas.
Hello.
And our close friend and movie insider, Protolexis.
Please, I'm a star.
Every movie that we cover is connected to a theme for that month, and this time it's Leading Ladies Volume 4. We're kicking things off with a very special double feature of X and Pearl together. And you can use the chapters in your podcast app to skip right to that discussion. This is our first double feature, according to the team, since Deep Impact and Armageddon. Danny, do you think these movies lean more into Deep Impact or Armageddon, in your opinion?
Oh, I would say they would lean more Deep Impact.
Oh.
Agree.
Is this a clue as to Danny's opinions for these movies? Opinion clue?
Yeah, opinion clue.
We're in week 3 of the heat wave, crushing this great nation on the East Coast. We're just around the corner to the end. Can we do it, Pro? Do you think we can survive another heat wave on the East Coast? Can we make it out alive?
Yeah, we're going to have to. Well, I mean, we've been here before, right?
Mhm.
We've dealt with heat waves. We've been around the block. So I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be all right. Just like we said before, keep drinking that water, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta stay
Buy it in
hydrated.
bulk if you have to.
I mean, you have tap. You can just drink right from the tap. Are you a tap family? Pro, do you not drink from the tap?
I grew up on tap.
There we go.
I'm a tap till I die. But my wife is not a tap person. She's filtered or not. She can taste it.
Right.
She can taste the chemicals in the water, the tap water.
Was this a
So-
topic in the debate that you heard? The chemicals bleeding into our water system between the two titans of our political climate? Joe Biden and Donald Trump?
Yeah, I haven't heard a coherent clip out of that. Was there actually anything
I don't know.
worth listening to?
We'll get into it. Don't forget,
This
we're gonna
great nation.
have live election coverage streaming all day long during election night or for our patrons. Danny, do you drink from the tap? Does Casey drink from the tap?
I guess tap, but we have a spout from our fridge, but it doesn't have a filter, so it's tap.
Tap from the fridge.
It's just tap. Yeah.
I'm similar to Proto. I love the tap. Grew up on tap,
Mm-hmm.
but Amanda has to have filtered water. She can't do it. Allegedly, she can taste the difference. It just tastes like water to me. Just sweet, delicious water from that faucet. I'll take it any way I can get it. Let's see, we got a big show, X and Pearl, double feature later in the show. It's streaming in a few places. And then next week, Maxine from Ty West and Mia Goth, the two hitmakers, the masters of horror themselves. It's a big month for us. Maybe bigger than that. The Bear season 3 is out. You heard about this TV show, The Bear? You watching The Bear, Danny? Allegedly the greatest television show ever made.
I've never heard about it. No one ever talks
It's
about
like
it.
a cooking show. There's
No, really. I've never
it's
seen anything about it.
stressful. It's like MasterChef, but real.
Yeah, I heard there's a Gordon Ramsay cameo this season. Is that right?
For real?
Is that a
think so.
spoiler?
Sorry, spoilers. Spoilers.
Season
for
3,
season
Gordon
3.
Ramsay cameo spoilers. Pardo, did you watch any movies this week?
I did. Let's see. What did I watch? Oh, so man, I had a 5-star movie watching experience. A movie on my Criterion Challenge this year is the movie Safe from Todd Haynes. This came out in 1995, and this came to I've been wanting to watch this. It's streaming on Tubi, and I was trying to avoid having to deal with ads. But Tubi, I'll take Tubi if I don't have anything else, right?
Yep.
And with you picking Carol for this month, Slim, I was like, well, let me watch this Todd Haynes and kind of get ready, So I was looking, and this was at the top of my list for my Criterion Challenge, and it's about this woman, Carol, who's this middle-class housewife played by Julianne Moore. And she begins to not feel well, and she's not really sure why. And as the movie goes on, her condition kind of gets worse and worse until she's like able to kind of pinpoint what's wrong. So like the movie is about that, of her discovering what is wrong, and kind of convincing the people in her life and like finding a solution for it. I give this 5 stars.
Goodness.
Love this movie. I think Todd Haynes is one of the best directors working, I think now. I've
Todd has the juice. You're saying it right now on the show.
Todd has the juice, confirmed. I saw May December last year, which was his newest movie, came out last year. Also starring Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman, and I love that. So these two movies, I think, are both exceptional. But this one with Julianne Moore in this, man, Julianne Moore is really incredible. Her performance in this is just amazing. I highly recommend it. It has this one thing that Todd Haynes does, and I thought maybe it was just May December. May December had like this kind of like this weird score that felt like melodramatic, but he does the same thing in this movie, Safe. I actually didn't look. I don't know if it's the same composer, but it's also like a really weird tone that he's able to set in his movies with the way he uses the score. So yeah, I highly recommend everyone watch Safe.
Do you think it's better than The Boondock Saints, 1999, Troy Duffy?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think at this point I'll have to give the edge to Safe. It's close, but
okay.
Yeah.
I was clicking through Todd's movies. I mean, he's done a couple with Julianne Moore, but this one with Kate Winslet called Mildred Pierce, it's 336 minutes.
I think that's probably a TV show, maybe.
Oh, is it?
Added. Yeah.
Can
Anytime I see like a
things
crazy
under control on Letterboxd. Who do I have to call?
There's nobody that hates seeing television on Letterboxd more than Danny Haas.
It just
Confirmed.
pisses me off.
It's gonna be. It's not close TV. Okay, so you just need to buckle up and put on your big boy pants for a little bit longer, if you have any. If you have any big boy 4-inch inseam pants from Chubby's.
Chubby's show sponsor. I have my 4-inch inseams now, so.
You have inspired me. I bought a pair of Chubby's.
Yeah.
Chubby's show sponsor, men's shorts and apparel. Fantastic company. U.S. Support local. But I only have
America.
5.5. I only have 5.5-inch inseam shorts.
You got to go shorter.
I've never gone 4, but I'm considering it now. I know I physically could with these thighs of mine.
Those gams. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the mental game, though.
Those hockey gams. What'd you say?
It's the mental game. He can handle it physically, but in the mental space.
The mental space is always a worry with me. But we'll see what happens. We're in the thick of it here in the summer heat. This blazing summer East Coast heat. Stifling.
Keep it thick, Slim.
One other movie that I wanted to mention that I watched this week. Me and Jenna sat down and she said, I really want to watch the Brady Bunch movie.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Which I was very concerned about. 1995. I wasn't sure if I had seen this. I felt like I might have seen part of it on TV at one point, but I was not excited about watching this.
Mm-hmm.
I said in my review, I think this might be a comedic masterpiece.
God.
Which sounds insane.
It does.
I know it sounds insane, but what they were able to do in this movie is really incredible. I had a nice long conversation with a friend of the show, Kev, in our Discord about this. The premise of the movie is that the family, the Brady Bunch from the 70s, the TV show we all know and love that show. They're transported to like the 90s in LA but they kind of live like they did on the TV show. It's just like they happen to be in the 90s, and everybody just kind of thinks they're like a weird family. But like the bits and the gags that they are able to run with based on that premise alone was hilarious. And the tone and the way they just go for the jokes in this is just like sharp as a knife. Like I couldn't believe how like well polished the jokes were in this. It was just like 90 minutes of laughs for me, and I couldn't believe it how good of a time I had watching this. So it's a banger. I'm planning on watching the sequel to the Brady Bunch movie.
I remember really enjoying the Brady movies when they came out. 1995. I mean, where were you? 1995. Right. A couple other movies that came out in 1995 around this time. Probably, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Seven, Braveheart, Heat, Apollo 13,
Goodness.
and Showgirls. That's what was in theaters when Brady Bunch was knocking on their door.
Yo, that 7 Brady Bunch double feature. Can you imagine?
Are we?
Yeah, I need to rewatch these. I didn't even have them marked as watched and liked on Letterboxd. That's how less often I think about these movies, but it's time to change it. Let's say hello to some new patrons. Gojira Crunch, Jan, Joe, and Brady. What are the chances of that? After what we just talked about, all joined this past week. Shin Godzilla free on our Patreon for limited time. I think we're about maybe a week left once this episode posts. And we are due to record Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory as our next Patreon exclusive episode just around the corner. Is there 4K of that around?
Yeah, there's got to be, right?
Yeah? Okay. Just checking.
I mean, maybe.
Also, we're planning on getting into it in the uncut post show for patrons, but The Acolyte episode 5.
Oh.
The Acolyte. It's the show on Disney, with the 2 gals, the twins. We said, maybe it's not for us. Tell you what, I watched episode 5. We'll get into it in the post show.
Oh, no.
What about Bratz, Dan? You watched this documentary on the Brat Pack on Hulu?
Very excited about this documentary. Some of my favorite films. And the Bratz documentary is Andrew McCarthy. He's going around. We covered Andrew on Pretty in Pink. And he's going around to, at the time, the people who were in the Brat Pack. An article was written in the New York Times by David Blum. An interview with Emilio, thank you. And he kind of dubbed this group of actors the Brat Pack. What I didn't know was their reaction, the actors' reaction to being called that was very negative. They hated it. To the point where Emilio would choose to not do a film with like Andrew because they didn't want to be in a Brat Pack movie. And so like work was changing for them and their dynamics were changing. And so Andrew goes around in the documentary to interview he goes to Ali Sheedy's house and interviews Demi Moore, Emilio, Rob Lowe, John Cryer, who technically was like, Brat Pack adjacent.
Right.
But he goes around to all these people, and the most interesting one is he actually goes and interviews David Blum, the author of the Brat Pack kind of article that started it all and coined the phrase. And I thought that conversation was actually the most interesting because I felt like Andrew the whole time was just kind of working through the trauma of what he went through because now he's kind of like not in anything. And he didn't kind of come out on top like Rob Lowe or Emilio or Demi and kind of stuff like that. So it felt kind of like Andrew dealing with stuff more than this being about the Brat Pack. But I still loved it. There's a lot of really cool kind of old behind the scenes footage that I hadn't seen before. Them filming, like St. Elmo's Fire and stuff like that. So not to spoil it, but like Molly Ringwald turned down being interviewed by Andrew for this, which I thought was very interesting. And
Did they say? Is there any like whispers about why she just didn't feel like
he said why. He said that she was just like, that was the past. I only want to look forward. Doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting that he's doing this documentary and he still couldn't get her to talk about it.
Well, I feel like her career was probably, maybe we talked about this in the Pretty in Pink episode, but her career was probably stifled by all of this era of films.
Until she did like a lot of TV more recently.
Mm-hmm. Weekend at Bernie's, starring Andrew McCarthy. When? ?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to like curate a Brat Pack month too. That'd be kind of fun.
Could we get Andrew on to continue working through his pain and trauma?
We'll work with you, Andrew.
Andrew, what do you did you hear about this Chubby sponsorship? Andrew, what do you think about that? We can get you a pair of 4-inch inseams. Yeah, I read that article. I think maybe when you posted that you had watched it, I think I read the David Blum. How old is David Blum? He's in this documentary.
He's probably in his 60s. He looked good though.
60s? That's it?
Yeah, I think he was quite young then when he wrote it. I don't quote me on that. Here we go.
Okay. 2.8 average on Letterboxd right now for this documentary. Fascinating.
David Blum is 68.
There you go.
Cripes. I mean, Demi looks incredible in this backdrop. I need to watch St. Elmo's Fire.
I know it's like
not great, but it's like...
I want to watch it too again. I've only seen it forever go once, but...
I think the song is more important than the movie, at this point.
They even talk about how they filmed that music video for the song for the film.
Remember music videos? Memba? We have 2 movies to get to. We gotta figure this out. I don't even remember.
What are you going to talk about? What did you watch?
I didn't think I watched anything. I was in the Big Apple, Chicago, this past week for a conference.
Speaking at these conferences, representing Letterboxd.
I was independent film exhibitors conference in Chicago for a few days. A lot of fun.
Cripes.
Maybe we'll get into it in the uncut, but I haven't gone to any kind of these engagements in many moons. When I'm walking between hotels. I only packed my Vans shoes. I packed 3 pairs of Vans.
What? You have that many Vans?
I have a lot of Vans. So I couldn't really decide what I was going to wear. I had my high 8s.
Okay.
I had my checkered Vans, and I had a pair of skate Vans, gum.
My gosh. The black gums.
My body was in turmoil at the end of day one. And even my wife and everyone was saying, you play hockey. What's the big deal? I don't know. Walking in Chicago in Vans for more than 30 minutes in the morning, I'm cooked. And I'm standing up for 6 hours. I was like, man, I just want to go to bed. I don't know if I can walk in the park right now. I'm in pain. So let that be a lesson to all those young bucks out there. Pack some walking shoes. If they make Vans with the special Cush technology, get those. Because I did end up getting insoles in my second to last day.
Oh my God.
And I, believe it or not, I went to 3 shoe places. So I even texted Amanda. I was like, am I buying shoes while I'm on this trip? And she's like, no, you're budget? Not. And then I was like, but what if? So I went to 3 different places that sell shoes. Their job is selling shoes. And I asked them if they had insoles. They said no. I feel like that should be part of your upselling. You're selling shoes. Do you want to get some insoles too? Who knows? But no, I had to go to Target. All this and more in the uncut episode, or in the uncut section of the episode. We'll get into it. I had a nice little mini meetup too. Ev was there, Dine, William. We went out to dinner. Some local 70 millimeter villagers. I had a hot dog. You can't beat it. Can't beat it with a stick. All right. What episode is this? 225. X and Pearl double feature. Safe space. I didn't go back to our last double feature. I don't know how we did it. So
I don't even know how we did it either.
We'll just see how this goes. But Proto, do you want to talk about X first? Tell us about X. Maybe that's how we'll do it. I don't know.
I kind of wrote the synopsis both of them. So
okay, let's do it that way.
Maxine and friends are headed to a secluded farm to shoot a porno. The owners of the farm are a strange old couple who are not nice and seem even dangerous. And soon they find out just how dangerous when they start killing off the porn crew one at a time. But Maxine, who is chasing the dream of stardom, won't go down without a fight. So much so that she kills those crazy old folks. And the story of the farm goes back to when Pearl, the old woman, was just a young girl with dreams of stardom of her own. But Pearl wasn't right. She always had a curiosity with death, and when her taciturn mother and invalid father get in the way of her dreams of being a star, she does what any killer would do. Keep the kills coming in X and Pearl.
I think I saw X. Did I see it in theaters? I just remember there was like a Letterboxd buzz when X had come out in 2022. And, heavy Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. And, infamously, I'm not a huge Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy.
Yeah.
So when I did first watch this, I was not impressed. X. And then Pearl came out the same year. They revealed that they had secretly filmed this Pearl movie. And I liked Pearl. Pearl, what about you? Way back in 2022, where were you, Mia Goth and Ty West?
Yeah, I remember when this came out, and I just really had no interest in seeing this. Definitely not in the theater. And then even after release, like the horror movies of this ilk aren't really my thing. So really, unless we're going to cover like a movie like this on the show, I wasn't that interested in watching it. But with Maxine coming out, I figured, well, if I'm going to watch this trilogy of movies, now would probably be the time so I could watch Maxine when it comes out. And honestly, and we'll talk about it more later.
We'll get into it.
But just the idea of like having a planned trilogy like this, I think is pretty brilliant. And it kind of, the marketing kind of got me where I was like, well, I want to be involved and see what the deal is. So I watched X. At this point, I think it was like a month ago before we even planned on covering Maxine, because I was just like planning on watching these. So yeah, that was that. Yeah, I'm fresh. My viewings are fresh.
Mm-hmm. Danny, are you fresh?
I'm as fresh as just this last weekend. First time watching these movies. I think I was probably in the same boat as Proto, where I'm not terribly drawn to the slasher genre, even though I think I tell myself I like it. But then I realize, talking to Casey, I think I just like Halloween and the Halloween series. I don't think I really enjoy slasher movies. Well, I don't know. I like Scream too, but I don't know. So yeah, this really was never going to fall on my plate. And then I think I was probably most interested recently when producer Dale dropped his Letterboxd of Pearl. And he had mentioned about, or at least maybe in DMs or chatter about her monologue, Mia's monologue, that it was like, it's at least worth the movie to watch that. So then my interest was like, oh, okay, maybe I do want to watch this trilogy. And then seeing the Maxine trailer, I kind of was all in. Right. Because that trailer looks like a banger.
I mean, it's a very unique trilogy, right?
Yeah,
like, is there any other filmmaker, actor combo? Like, is there anything like this that they were able to pull off? I can't think of anything.
I think I don't have anything that comes to mind, but I think like right time, right place, and filming this kind of in the pandemic kind of gave A24 some sort of wiggle room to like bet on Ty West. Because I feel like any other scenario, if we're not in some sort of lockdown, things aren't hard, I don't feel like they're giving Ty West the nod to pull this off.
I had to look up his filmography because I feel like I'd seen other films of his that I did like, and he did The Innkeepers, which I liked, and I think he might have written something else with Greta Gerwig in it. What's the other one? Does anybody know in chat?
Francis
House of the Devil. The House of the Devil, which is a movie that has Greta Gerwig in it, in the 80s horror movie. So he's done some other stuff that is in the same ilk. But I think you're right. Like the pandemic I mean, I don't want to say like helped it, but like there wasn't a lot of excitement otherwise probably. And then when you hear that they had like filmed these 2 movies in lockdown and it's a horror movie, like people were hungry for something. And like we were talking off air with, I won't name them, but they don't get the hype. They don't get like the love, and it's like a big turnoff for them. And I think the like pandemic kind of helped with that for sure. Let's hear from Proto first and foremost. What's at the top of your list? You've watched both.
Slasher Insider.
Top of my list is I was really impressed, I think, with both of these movies, but especially watching X. Just what a competent filmmaker I feel like Ty West is. And I'm sure he has like a good team with him too. And the main thing I thought of was just like how the story feels pretty generic in terms of like what you might expect from a horror movie. You know, I feel like horror movies these days, they kind of always have to like give an extra surprise twist to really get like buzz going. And this movie, to me, it doesn't really have that, but it just looks so dang good.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like even like the you know, just the framing of the shots, the different locations, the way things were lit, it just all looks really, really great. And that wasn't something that I was expecting when I first sat down to watch these movies.
Looking to see if the cinematographer was the same. Yeah. He works with Elliot Rocket, I guess, for all of his movies. And I should say, too, that Ty West writes, directs, and edits his movies. So he's doing it all. Like he's the total package, so to speak. And on this viewing of both of them, you know, I guess we had the 4K versions, you know, available. They both look great in different ways. Like, I feel like he nailed the Chainsaw Massacre kind of aesthetic for that era in X. I mean, right off the bat, that shot that opens the movie where it's like almost in 4:3 aspect ratio in that barn or whatever, and then it opens up. I thought that was so cool.
Oh, fake out.
Yeah. And it fits with like the era too. But Pearl is like visually pleasing in totally different ways. Like the Technicolor vibes that he was going for. It's pretty impressive. I'm a big Ty West fan, personally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let it out, Danny.
No, I completely agree. I think probably the best parts of these films are how they look. X, I honestly love how different the two of them are, with Pearl being basically a horror film in the daylight, and then X, a horror film at night, which I thought was kind of a really nice juxtaposition of the two. But the two complete different vibes for each film are genius. And I think I lean to like, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if I liked one more than the other visually. But I was happy they were both different. X looked, to me, incredible. I think a lot does have to do with the nighttime shots. I feel like it's probably harder to do. I don't know if it's harder to do, but it feels harder to do, to light things like that. And so to do it right and well, like he did, like the barn scenes and, you know, just in and out of the houses. There's just so many incredible shots that just, you know, I don't know. He, like Proto said, he's very competent in his work and in his cinematographer.
When I was watching X, this will be like my main point, but I kind of forget how connected they are. Or maybe when I first saw X, I wasn't thinking about Pearl or a trilogy at that point. So I was kind of, you know, ignoring Mia Goth. Like, I guess in my head, when I first saw it, I thought it was like a Jenny Ortega vehicle, you know, but she's not really in it that much. And I didn't know who Mia Goth was, but I knew who Jenny was. So I was like kind of confused that she wasn't the star. But they definitely like dropped the seeds that, you know, there's like a couple like scenes in, they're asking Maxine, like, what's your American dream? And then I was like thinking like, oh my God, like, yeah, the Maxine movie's coming out. Like all this stuff is just kind of like a prelude to what's going to happen later. I didn't even remember if Maxine like lived at the end of the first one. Like, and there's a Maxine movie coming out. I was like, wait, does she live? So for me, this viewing, having seen Pearl already, actually helped my viewing of X, because I think I gave X like 2 stars when I first watched it.
I saw that.
I might have even just said snoring noises. I wasn't like in love with X this time around, but I think I was able to appreciate it more having seen Pearl, and now knowing that there's like a third piece of this character's puzzle that's coming. So that's just something that was lost on me when I saw X. But Proto, when you had seen X, all of this was like out and about. So I'm not sure if you would have had that same thought on this rewatch.
Yeah, well, I did definitely think, I was like, okay, so I know that Mia Goth's character is going to be in Maxine, because she is Maxine, and I've seen the trailer. But while I was watching it, I did have the thought that they do a really great job of not giving away like the final girl, I thought, in X, or really like a sense of who the lead is.
Yeah.
Especially like the first half of the movie, it really isn't focused on Maxine. Like, you could really make the case, like you said, that Ortega is the lead or the focus, and not Maxine. So in a way, I kind of wish I did see this earlier, just so that I didn't have any thoughts to take away from that, because I thought that was actually really well done.
Mm-hmm. Danny, what do you think about having the knowledge of the third piece coming soon and watching Pearl and X?
I feel like either it's all completely missed me. I didn't know Mia's character's name in X coming into it, but I knew she was Pearl. So I was like, oh, she just plays 3 different people in all these in these movies, and somehow it's connected. I didn't know she was Maxine in X coming into it. And so then it was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. And it's funny. So we watch with subtitles a lot in our house. And I didn't know the old lady was Pearl, but the subtitle, like the very beginning, was like, it said like her name. I was like, oh, that's Pearl. And like, oh, then like everything was like falling into place like instantly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't know anything, honestly. I had no clue.
What's the top of your list for this double feature viewing?
Well, top of my list can actually work for both movies. It is Mia Goth, and I don't know of anything else that I've seen her in. Maybe Suspiria, but she's not really a big part of Suspiria. But so I don't really know her as an actress at all. But I think, like Dale said, like if there's anything to watch these movies for, it's for Mia, because I think there's something about her. She's very unique. Performance. She looks unique as well, especially the way she has this ability to kind of morph her face when she's screaming, like the moments where she's screaming at the projectionist in the barn, when she freaks out on him, her face like morphs into something very horrific. And then she can go back to just being cute, Mia, Pearl, Maxine, whatever. But she does it in a way that is just kind of crazy good. I think she's better in Pearl than Maxine, X, just because X has such a bigger ensemble of a cast, but it's very focused on her in Pearl. But her performance in Pearl is insane. Like, she's incredible in that.
Yeah, that was my takeaway after I had seen Pearl, where I was just like, who is this? What's going on here? Like, this is like an insane performance. It just feels like a Mia Goth showcase. And I know some, like, I think our village, I was scanning some of the reviews, tag 70mm pod, and a lot of people just didn't connect with either movie. And some did say that, like, Pearl just feels like they wrote the monologue scene and then they just, like, made a movie around it, which I can kind of see. Yeah. But man, that monologue and the ending are great. Yeah. So like, that's the thing that just like kind of brings me in. And I was like, well, it was kind of slow in some parts, but damn, Mia Goth is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved her too in this. I think she's great. I think my favorite parts is where, well, definitely like the monologue, but the way when she is like confiding in people, and then when like the switch flips, and it's like you can see it on her face where like they become the enemies.
Yeah.
And it's like purely like in her eyes and just like the
Yes.
way she's looking at them. It's just like really great. And it's super creepy.
That's
Just
terrifying.
you're like, she's going to kill this person now. And it's so good. It's so good.
Pardo? Next?
So next thing, and I felt this in both movies. And I kind of agree what people are saying about Pearl, as if they're almost, they had an idea and they just kind of built a movie around a few ideas. But also in X, it felt like there was something missing to me in this. And maybe it's because I expect that with horror movies. Like I said earlier, like you expect like an extra twist in movies or another shoe to drop that reveals something else. Like in X, I would have expected that, like, oh, actually, you know, someone in the porn crew actually knows these people and is on their side, or like led them here.
Yeah.
You know, like something more, or even something more with like, you get little tidbits of, you know, Maxine, that's her father, the preacher. But it didn't like really go beyond that. And I felt like in both movies, there was almost like something like I was waiting for some other piece of the puzzle that never came up. That kind of like left me feeling like almost like something was like they forgot to write something. But at the same time, I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing, because in some ways it's almost kind of refreshing to have a movie where there isn't like, oh, but actually this was happening the whole time.
Yeah.
Blah. You know, it's kind of just like a very straightforward horror movie in that way. It's like in X, these two people are lunatics and they want to kill them. And then in Pearl, it's like she's a psycho killer and she's going to kill these people. And that's kind of all there is. There isn't too, and maybe with Maxine, maybe more will be revealed. Like there is some kind of element that's been laying underneath that we aren't sure of yet. But to me, that like really sticks out about these movies, that it's almost like Ty West wasn't trying to fool us or outsmart us. He was just like, you know, I'm just going to tell a straightforward story in this way. And that's fine too.
Yeah, I remember when X had come out, I feel like there was a lot of like, not a lot, but like some discourse about the old characters, like old Pearl and her man. I can't remember what that guy's name was.
Howard.
Is it Howard?
Howie?
About like them being the killers, and then even their sex scene about like, you know, people were reacting in different ways and reacting appropriately or inappropriately to old people boning. So maybe that was like kind of the thing where it was the old people that were killing the young people, and that was like the big difference maker. Brandon in chat makes a great point. Old people deserve to bone.
Thank you,
well
Brandon.
said. So yeah, I think they are like a little plain in that way, but I think it was fine for me this time around, where, you know, I'll take the plain horror over some dumb plot twist that makes me eye roll into a coma at the end. Sure.
You haven't been paying attention this whole time? It's in the background.
that coming, did you? Who was the dude that was strung up in the basement that Jenny Ortega finds? Like naked with his wing wang hanging out.
Oh my
Who was
God.
that character? Do you remember?
I just assumed that was like a previous visitor to the farm.
Okay. Oh yeah, his car was in the pond. Some other Bordeaux. Okay, border. Trying to see if there's anything worth in my menchies for Ortega's effed up fingers. How about when she gets her fingers
my
just
God.
all banged
That was
up?
a good hack. It was a real good hack.
The practical effects are really well done in both movies, I felt. Like it looked pretty rad, especially like in Pearl when she's cutting up that body of the girl that she kills with the axe. That looks pretty real. Like I've never seen a human body cut up, but you know, that looks pretty real.
Yeah, I agree. I love the kill in X, where in the barn with the pitchfork through the wall. Just the way that shot was done. It felt like very homage-y to, I don't know, like a B horror movie.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Danny's
Everything.
reviews were like cutting in that way about, I mean, what was the Pearl review that you had written? I can't find it quickly. It was like, what else? Oh, here it is. Danny's Pearl review. Not even the Wizard of Oz is safe from Ty. Is there anything left for him to get his grubby mitts on? If Maxine goes back in time in a DeLorean to stop Pearl, so help me.
I mean, that was my problem with connecting with anything in this film is everything felt like, not that I've only seen it before, but it felt like it was like Ty's unofficial love letter to horror movies of the past. Like he was trying so hard to be Hitchcock.
Mm.
And just like we were talking about Jenny's scene, like the reverse Shining moment where she's trying to come through the door and it's just the same exact hole, like cut through with an axe, and it gets cut with a knife. And I don't know, so many things, like everything screams Psycho in this when it's pushing the car into the river or into the lake or whatever. It's just, I don't know. So much of it was like too much on the nose for me. Like I'd seen this before and it's like felt a little bit try hard in storytelling. Like we don't have a script beefy enough to tell like an original story. So let's pull from elements that people are familiar with and make our movies. And then when I see the Maxine trailer and she's like running up to the Bates house on the Universal lot, I'm
ready.
like, Christ alive. If she runs in front of the clock tower.
Well, I think she's at like the Universal lot.
Yeah, she's on the lot.
So you might unfortunately get your wish of seeing the DeLorean in Maxine.
It is the 80s.
How about the director, boyfriend of, or not director, but the boyfriend of Maxine and X being the dude from The Ring? The boyfriend from The Ring?
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out where I recognized him from.
Martin
Besides
Henderson.
Dollar Store McConaughey.
And Torque. Yeah, I've seen the Torque
By
clip
God.
circulating on social media every so often. My God,
The,
Joseph Kahn month.
Did you guys notice the Indiana Jones homage in Pearl?
Oh, tell me.
X marks the spot.
Oh my God, when she's cleaning her back up in that one scene.
Excuse me?
You didn't see that? Did I watch the unrated version on
What?
Paramount Plus?
What do you
or,
mean?
or Netflix, wherever I watched X? That was in there. I mean, they're filming an adult movie, so
Oh yeah. Oh
I
God.
thought that was pretty intense for being like in a hard horror movie for her to be doing that. But get what you pay for. Danny, was that your main point? Should I move to?
And I guess yeah, but I wanted to also say, since you brought up the old people, I think one of my things that bothered me about the old people, outside of young people and old makeup, is I don't like the idea that just being old is like scary. Like nothing about their appearance, like they're just old. Like they shouldn't like it like look like it meant to be looking scary just because they're old. It's very weird to me. Like it would have made more sense that if they're going to like do some killing, that they like put a mask on or something.
Young
and like
person's
that's
face.
what made them like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they put on someone else's face or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just like they're old, so let's just make them being old the scary thing about them. I don't like that. It's very weird to
I guess
me.
from the point of view of the porno people, like old people are horrifying to them. You know, like their livelihood would be gone. You know, when they get
Right.
old.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. It was just weird. Like
Mhm.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. I thought that they almost looked like cartoony ugly, because I guess they're, you know, it's Mia Goth and this
Yeah.
other guy pretending to be old people, but they kind of look like monsters already. That but I mean that kind of takes away from it, because then it's not like it doesn't feel like I've ever met like a person that
No,
would
you've never
look like
met
this. It'd be
someone.
like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this person could kill me just based on the way they look.
Right.
Like, wouldn't it be more scary if they were like a nicer, just like frail old couple that then turned and like killed them?
Right.
So yeah, I kind of agree. I thought it was kind of, I mean, I guess you can understand why Mia Goth would be, because she plays Pearl, so it's the same person, yada, yada. But yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
I don't think it mattered enough. Like there wasn't like a moment where I'm like, oh, that's Mia Goth. I'm glad she's playing the old person. Like, just cast an old actress. Like, I don't understand the need for her to play that character just because she's Pearl.
Another
what's
showcase.
Helen Mirren doing?
Yeah, Helen Mirren would have been incredible in that.
Helen Mirren's in that. What's that like? I don't even want to get into it. I'm not gonna.
Oh gosh,
a thought.
Red.
Pulling the ripcord before I even continue
Caligula, I knew it.
I mean, I guess you could say it was another showcase for Mia Goth. You know, what if you play the old person and they're like high fiving each other?
Now, I did like the kind of flip on in their storyline where I thought Howard was the murderer.
Oh, okay.
Because of the way she wanted to like not get caught doing things in the house. I thought he was like either abusive and he was the one that'll end up being the murderer, but it's really her. Like what she gave him like lemonade with Mia and stuff like that. So it was like, oh, I kind of like the flip, like, oh, Pearl's the psycho, not Howard.
What did you think of the influenza plot during Pearl? Them connecting in COVID, like they're wearing the masks, you know, while walking around town. Now we're a little bit removed from when COVID started, but I wonder how it lands in 2024.
I mean, it was kind of weird to see it. And honestly, I was like, I don't understand what flu they're talking about. I didn't know they're talking about the Spanish flu or whatever. That's just my dullard brain in the moment.
Not even captions could have helped Danny in that moment.
God, I hate you. Yeah, I thought it worked fine. I liked the idea of it too, because it kind of reminded me that we've been here before at some point.
You know, that guy is the new Superman, the projectionist.
That's
Corn
Superman?
Sweat?
That's the guy playing Superman.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wrote his name down, but now I can't remember it.
David Corn Sweat.
Yeah, corn and sweat or something like that. I mean, it looks great. Watching this, I was like, yeah, he is going to make great Superman. Pardo, what do you think about the influenza plot tying things together?
The only thing I really thought was like people being pissed off, certain people watching this being like, no one would have worn masks. This isn't real. Why are they wearing them? That's all I could really think of watching this. But yeah, I thought I guess it was smart. I don't know like how much it really helps the plot. Like Pearl's mother, you know, saying you can't leave the farm. We have to protect ourselves. This is the reason your father was sick. Again, like it felt like there was almost something missing. Like that plot or that element of the story, there was some connective tissue that wasn't there to something else that would maybe have triggered something with Pearl. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was fine. It was interesting to like just the parallels, I guess. And I wonder if that was like the main motivating factor in it, you know, but like in 10 years, will people be like, relate this to COVID? I don't know.
Right. Will people even believe COVID happened in 10 years? I mean, you saw that debate. Will there even be an internet in 10 years? That's the question we have to ask. How about her drinking morphine in the theater, watching those soldiers get blown up? My God, she was having a hi-ho time. Some other shots from Pearl that I wrote down. I mean, there's some. I did like Pearl a lot. Like, I don't like reality. I mean, she just hated her life. But then they'll reveal later in the movie about how her mom kind of knows already that something's going on with her, and it like scares her. She's like killing farm animals. I mean, right at the start of the movie, she kills Mr. Goose. Rest in peace, Mr. Goose. Yeah. But also like her kind of acknowledging that she thinks there might be something wrong with me. And, you know, what's going to happen to her, really? Like, there's nothing. I mean, we see what happens in X. It doesn't go very well for her. Let me see if there's anything major. The Scarecrow scene.
My word.
What a moment. Scene of the year for that Scarecrow.
No scarecrows have ever had it that good before.
That lifelike head on that scarecrow. Did they really make them like that?
Golly.
I mean, that looks like there's somebody in that suit. Yeah. You know, get the scarecrow in here for the grinding scene. All right, I'm needed, guys. I'll see you later. High fiving everybody.
The scarecrow's high-fiving on the way out. My gosh. Stupid.
She grabs the egg. Was it the alligator egg that she grabbed?
That's gross.
And she cracks that with her hand, like a freak that I said in my notes.
Goodness.
There's some beautiful, like we talked about the visuals, but the shot of her on the way to the, I thought she was going to a party, but she was going to the projectionists, but it's at night and there's like that smoke on the field, that blue backdrop. Man, that was gorgeous. She F's that scarecrow good. It's one of my notes.
How about the projectionist room that he's like living in and working from? Oh my God, that room.
It's like Cinema Paradiso nod.
Also the video that he shows her, like I guess did he call it a snuff film? What did he call it? He said something. Stag film. I thought that like, I almost already forgot about what this character's backstory was like. Is he going to do something nefarious to our sweet Pearl in this scene? Because he's showing her this movie, but it seemed innocent enough, shockingly. And then he seems to have the best intentions for all we know. But then he sees her kind of like unravel. Remember, he goes to the house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sees the dad, the pigs rotting on the porch, her burnt mother knocking on the door. I mean,
brutal.
He tries to get out of there, but it doesn't quite work out for him. Poor guy. Proto, final point, I think.
Final point. I think the thing that bummed me most in Pearl was the whole movie. Like I felt like I knew like Howard's going to show up. Her husband, the one she's talking about the whole movie, and of course who we know returns because we've seen X and he's in that. And I was really interested of like, all right, how are they going to work this out? Like, how does he come home to see her in this condition, having killed these people, and then they end up living happily ever after for the next 40 years or whatever? And the fact that the movie ends with him just showing up and not really giving any kind of signs, I thought, oh, maybe what they'll do is like he has like super severe PTSD and Pearl just kind of has to care for him. But that doesn't really happen. He kind of just like hops off the truck. He looks, right as rain, like a normal dude. And he walks in the house. And of course, we just like cut to the credits with her smiling. So I felt like, God, again, like I felt like there was something missing. Like that was like a part of the story that I was really curious about the whole movie of like, how is this going to connect to where we get to an X? But they don't do that at all. He just chose to leave it there, which I can understand, like in the head of a filmmaker, like the final scene of her just smiling in the camera and then like starting to cry. That's like another incredible scene from Mia Goth. I mean, it's like 5 minutes long of her just smiling into the camera. So I think that's really good, but I couldn't help but be disappointed by like the lack of connection there.
Maybe it's the twist where, in general, the soldier coming home is the one who has to deal with, or the soldier coming home is the one who has the issues that need to be handled by like the family. But in this case, she's the one that's like even more troubled by being alone while he was at the war. So that could have been the flip there. But I mean, her holding that's the ending of this movie is insane. That shot, like all-timer for me. I love that ending. It's so crazy. Weird, right? Like it's just such a bizarre choice and it ends up working so well. Danny, final point?
Final point. We've covered a lot of it. I know we've covered the homages. They drove me nuts. All the Wizard of Oz Pearl nods drove me crazy. The points where she was riding the bike like the Wicked Witch of the West, and I feel like I heard the Wizard of Oz music when she was riding at one point. I was like, when she's going back to town. I understand low budgets and I understand how hard it may have been to do CGI, but the alligator stuff drove me crazy, especially being from Florida. When I see that alligator, First of all, I don't know if there's alligators in Texas. Are there? I don't know that answer. But also, it looked so fake, it drove me nuts. Like, alligators don't float on top of the water like that. It's the most dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it drove me insane. Like, it to the point where I was pissed off right when I first saw that shot of the gator.
Gator police.
I was mad. Like, this is not an alligator. This is someone. I was like, there's someone under that, right? In a bodysuit or something swimming. It was terrible.
Same actor who was the scarecrow also played the alligator.
High-fiving on the way out. Nailed it, guys. But I like the alligator twist where she was feeding it and stuff like that. That was fun. I really thought she was going to dump the dad in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, holy shit, she's going to do it. We're about to watch a massacre. I kind of also love that she got caught. That was really fun as well.
Oh, she was pinching her dad too when she was in the bathtub and then choking him.
I thought that, honestly, after watching X, and then I was like, is this going to go somewhere I'm not ready for? I was
cringing. Rushing to grab the remote in seconds. He had his finger on the button.
So turn the captions off. Home Alone homage, nail in the foot. Nice tie. Like that. Yeah.
How about the stabbing of that director? Remember when Pearl stabs the director?
Christ.
And then his blood goes in the headlights to make the lighting red. That was pretty sick. Sick. Do I have any more points? I don't think so. A lot of great lines. We're going to be rich. Feel how hard my C is. Remember that scene?
We're going to be rich. Feel how hard my cock is.
I'll just loop that into the episode. And then he does. He's like does feel it.
That's insane.
Great scene.
Real torque moment.
Twerk homage. Pearl in bed with Maxine. Nude Pearl just like appearing in the background while watching the porn being filmed. Yeah. Wild stuff. Mia sitting under them having intercourse.
How did I get here?
Oh my God. And then when she runs over her head at the end of the movie.
That
was so sick. That was awesome.
I watched an interview with Ty, and because they filmed this in New Zealand, they said he was talking about how hard it was. Well, he was asked how hard it was to find right-hand drive cars. So with Pearl, they had right-hand drive Model Ts that they had to have in the film. And he said, luckily enough, those are such collector's items that car collectors have them. But to find the right-hand drive Dodge van for X, he said it was near impossible.
Wow.
And so one of the things that they were asked was, Peter Jackson has a massive car collection, like a World War II huge collection over there. And he lent them the truck that she drives away because it's the only old truck that they could find for the film.
Can they just reverse the frame? Film it.
Okay, slim.
Does that work?
I don't think that's how that works.
Pardo, final thoughts. Honorable mentions.
Final thoughts. Yeah, the color grading in Pearl is just crazy. The I don't know if it's like this at the beginning of the movie, but like the red lighting in the house by the end of the movie, like in that main hallway, is so great. I just love. I loved all that. Pearl killing her dad. Gosh, I mean, you knew it was coming. That poor guy. I almost was curious if there was like. It felt like there was maybe something. Like I wanted more information about her parents and like her upbringing and like how she got to be the way she is. Is it just like nature for her, or did something happen in her life? But again, like Ty was like, we don't need it. We don't need it.
I'm not Ari Aster.
Mhm.
Right, yeah. I think the pitchfork kill when she gets the projectionist is like my favorite kill. That was just like, there was something about like, she's going to do it. He's in the car and then she like appears in front of him and just the way she like stabs him through the chest. Gosh, like that was all great. Shot so great. Him like rolling away, trying to get away still. Another homage, Yankee Doodle Dandy when she's doing her dance. You guys catch that one? Yankee Doodle Dandy homage?
Not on my recent rewatch list.
No, I haven't.
Yankee Doodle
Sorry.
Dandy.
That was a great scene too, though. Like her just giving it her all, completely believing this is her moment.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I thought she did okay. I mean, how good were the other people that she didn't make it? I thought she was fine in that performance.
Just wasn't blonde, I guess.
Yeah.
One other note I wrote down: Alien reboot with Mia Goth as Ripley.
Yo.
Okay.
Oh, could you see it?
I'm listening.
Okay.
Can you smell it? Yeah, that's all I got. I gave X 3 stars, and I think that's where I'm at with Pearl too. 3 stars. I like these movies for the most part. Yeah, I think they're pretty good. They were fun. I had a good time.
Mhm.
No one can take that from me.
Yeah.
It's
It's
true.
all you need in a movie to have
true.
fun, have a good time. It's the dream. Danny?
We've gone through, I think, everything I want to talk about. I'm still, one of my notes was just A24 betting on Ty West. And it still kind of is a brilliant thing that we're getting this like completely new IP, like asterisks next to IP, but all of his homages. But I feel like I can't imagine this ever happening. I mean, maybe it will happen again, but it feels so fresh that he would get this crazy trilogy done. That is people like in such a weird fashion. Like I can't imagine being someone who was so into slasher films to go to the theater to see X, to catch an in credits trailer of Pearl, having no idea Pearl was coming out, and then like months later have a prequel sequel already done in the works. Like that feels so genius, so brilliant. I wish this would be like a norm because it's low budget. They're not having to worry about this nonsense Captain America 4 $300 million plus movie to worry about. So I just A24's bet on Ty West with this trilogy feels like a big gamble, and I feel like it's paying off because Maxine looks awesome. My first time viewings for both these, I think I'm at 3 stars each as well. I didn't like fall out of my seat, love them. I didn't hate them, and I enjoyed what I was watching most of the time.
Right.
Had a good time watching it. Never bored.
We need more people like Ty West, more people like Mia Goth. And you're right. More people like A24 to take these risks. I mean, he was doing a lot of the work himself, so that also helps.
That's true.
Every week we give out a free year of Letterboxd Patronage. If I remember, you can tag your reviews 70mm Pod to be entered to win. Riley Kells left a review. I won't read it all. I'll read one line. You could tell Ty West just hates the elderly. I believe you.
God.
2.5 stars for X from Riley, but you do get a free year of Letterboxd Patron.
Congrats.
Let me see if I have any menchies. Driving over the cow guts. That was awesome. Idiot Wayne doesn't tell Howard they're filming a porno. What a sketchy situation that was. Jenny Ortega asked them about morals and love, but then ends like that scene saying she liked what she saw, and then she wants to be in the movie, and her boyfriend director has to film it. Holy moly!
Him crying in the shower.
Oh my god, that was nuts.
Honestly, I thought he was going to get psychoed and stabbed through the shower.
Yeah, me too.
I really thought that was coming.
Oh, I love the shotgun blast that shoots her outside the house.
Jesus.
She just like flies outside the house. That was awesome. In X. For Pearl, I don't think I have a ton more notes. The The mom gets lit on fire. Woof.
I wonder what the audition process was for the father.
Oh my God. What was I about to say? Damn it, I had something. Oh, I mean, what are the chances we cover Pearl, but then also cover The Wizard of Oz in the same month?
I know. I thought
Yeah.
the same thing.
Pretty crazy. I think I'm bumping up my rating for X. I had more fun this time having seen Pearl, so I'm going to be 3 stars. And I get all the criticism about like there's barely a movie there, Pearl, but I don't know. Mia Goth is just honestly insane in the movie, so I'm staying at 4 stars for Pearl.
There you go.
A lot of fun. You can send us feedback if you want at 70mmpod@gmail.com. We do have a letter that I remember to read from Scott. Leading Ladies, Volume 4, subject line, X, Pearl, Maxine, Serial Mom, and Wizard of Oz. Whether they used a hatchet, a knife, or a house, you have inadvertently created Women Who Kill Month. I was wondering if you guys ever kicked around the idea of a documentary month or a short films month. Maybe for short films, you each pick 2 for the week and discuss. Just a thought. Loving the podcast as usual. That comes from Scott. Have we ever considered, Danny, a documentary month?
I think we have. I don't know if we actually really have like seriously considered it, but I feel like it's been tossed around at some point. Maybe a short films month. I feel like we come back around on a couple times. I know I already have my movie picked out for that when we eventually do it. So yeah.
Pearl, where do you stand on that idea?
Well, we did one documentary. We did Jim and Andy, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky thing. You know, I don't know if documentaries kind of like fit into, I mean, it's, you know, it's different. It's not a movie. I don't know, maybe it seems hard. It seems hard to do a whole month of documentaries or so
Yeah.
I don't know. I like maybe we sneak one in, like kind of like we did with Jim and Andy. I think that would more likely happen. Or maybe like we cover something that has a great documentary and then we do that.
A bonus app or something.
Yeah. Short films, even that, I don't really feel great about that. Sorry, Scott. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm like, I haven't really seen a lot of short films, so I don't even know where I would start with something like that.
Okay. Next week is Maxine. It's in theaters. This episode releases on a Monday. It might even be available now if your theater is doing any of these early showings. Otherwise, we got a big month. Okay.
Yeah.
Big friggin' month. After Maxine, it's Wizard of Oz. Okay. Can we go any harder? Stay tuned. We'll get into it. Almost through the Mia Goth journey in Ty West. I'm actually going to I think I'm going to rewatch some old Ty West horror movies. The Innkeepers. I'm going to go back if I can. Proto, do you have any closing thoughts?
How old is The Innkeeper? Sorry.
No, please never apologize to me, Danny. The Innkeepers, 2011. House of the Devil, 2009.
Oh,
The Sacrament is 2013. I've always wanted to watch this. I eventually just kind of took it off my watch list because I could never find time, but let me read the synopsis for The Sacrament, if I may. A news team trails a man as he travels into the world of Eden Parish to find his missing sister when it becomes apparent that his paradise may not be as it seems. I think it's like a religious kind of cultish movie. Commune. Religious commune.
Okay.
Love it.
Thrown out there. Pardon?
Commune month.
I'm really excited for our meetup. I know we've talked about it before.
Oh my gosh.
But I keep thinking about it and just like how crazy it's going to be. We're all going to be there. All of our friends from the movie community are going to be there. It's just, it feels unreal. Like I don't feel like I'm physically, mentally, emotionally ready for this event, and it's bearing down on us. We've got 2 months. But I'm very excited. I can't wait to see everybody. Just seeing again, like this week, more people saying they're coming. They're coming, everyone. They're coming. The event is happening. It's going to be wild. Can't wait.
There's going to be 500 people in this theater, and there's going to be 100 people at our little post-screening gathering.
We're screening Ty West's #1 top 4 movie on Letterboxd.
Get out of here. We'll see everybody next week for Maxine. Millimeter is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. And music composed by Cinematrix. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.